Have you ever wanted one of those overlays that you see Phasmo streamers using that will display or remove the ghost names based on the evidence that is found? Well, let's make one, and it's going to be free and there's no coding needed. So this is a time-consuming thing, but it's very easy to do and totally customizable in the event that they do add more ghosts and evidence in the future. So you will need OBS Studio and a Stream Deck. There is a free Stream Deck app that you can install on your phone or your tablet that gives you access to 6 buttons. You just need to download the program from your iOS shop or the Google Play Store, follow the instructions, and then you have 6 free buttons you can use. Unfortunately, we're going to need 8 buttons for this widget, but if you didn't know about that, now you do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up OBS and we're going to create a new scene. You're going to name it something relevant. I already named one down here. It is called Phasmo Ghost Widget because it's going to be the Phasmo Ghost Widget. And this is going to be a nested scene. So what a nested scene is a scene that contains all of the elements for our widget that we can then reference in our main scene, such as your streaming scene, so that you can add it in there and you don't have to copy and paste everything. Or if you want to update something in the future, you will always have the widget and you can move it around wherever you want to. So now we're going to create a text source by going down here within your sources on your scene and hit the plus sign and add text GDI. I like to keep my stuff organized by putting a letter as a reference. So for here, I'm putting T because it's text, and we're gonna name it Spirit because that is our first ghost, and hit OK. So this will open up this screen. I like to use the Lazy Dog font, which is the one that they use in Phasmophobia, which you can get for free at defont.com. I will link that down below. Just note that if you download that while you're watching this video and you have OBS open, you will need to restart OBS to gain access to that. Keep everything here as it is. Keep the size really big because as we go to shrink it down, it will keep the integrity and it won't pixelate it. And so then we'll go into text and we will type out Spirit. It's our ghost. Then we will scroll down here and we will set all of our alignments to center, which will help us as we get the rest of our ghost names on here so that they will center nicely. So here we have Spirit. Now we're going to right click on Spirit on our text source Spirit, and we're going to go to transform and edit transform. And here we are also going to align it center. We're going to shrink it. You can do it this way and move it around wherever you want. I am going to use a set size that works for me. You're more than welcome to use it. We're going to right click on it again and go to transform, edit transform. And we're gonna set our size on the left to 79 pixels, and we're gonna set this one to 42 pixels. What's cool about this is that as we start duplicating, the other ghosts will have the same transform, but they will get a little bit bigger. So when we add Phantom or Poltergeist or ghosts that have a bigger name, they will all stay the same size, but they won't get scrunched down because Spirit doesn't have as many letters. They won't get scrunched down to the size. They will automatically get bigger. So from there, we're going to add a filter to this. Now there's a couple ways to do this. You can right click and then go to filters, or the way that I like to do it is after you select the source, you just hit filters right here. It just makes it a little bit easier. Now we're gonna add a color correction filter, and we're gonna turn the opacity down to about 0.7-ish. Doesn't really need to be perfect. And so what that is going to do is it's going to turn down the opacity of our ghost. So whenever we get down into making the buttons and selecting the evidence, we're gonna make it turn this filter on and off. And that will essentially select and deselect it. So we're gonna leave it on for now. And that is our first ghost. And so from there, you're going to copy and then paste duplicate. Now it's really important that you paste duplicate because if you paste a reference, whatever you paste will reference that original source. So any edits that you make to the one that you pasted as a reference will do it to the first one, and we don't want that. So now we're gonna move on to our second ghost, which is Phantom. So we'll rename that one Phantom, and you can again change it here by typing in Phantom, or an easier way to do it is to just go right here, type in Phantom. And so you see, and make sure when you're clicking on things, it has a blue box around it before you click, because you could be clicking all kinds of stuff. So now we have Spirit and we have Phantom, and you can see that Phantom is a little bit bigger, but it has this essentially the same size. Since we copied it, it will still have that color correction opacity filter on it. So now you're just gonna do that for the rest of the 22 ghosts. I'm going to speed up this footage while I do the rest of the ghosts and meet you back at the end. I'm gonna plug myself here, so please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. I really loved making this and would love to make more tutorials in the future. I don't like to gatekeep, so if you guys have ideas for other things that you'd like to see using OBS or Stream Deck or StreamerBot, please comment them down below and I can try to figure those out for you. I also stream on Twitch at Zzums, where I play a lot of Phasmophobia and horror games, and would love it if you considered following me there as well. I'll post a link in the description below. So thank you for watching. Now that we have all of our ghost names, we're just gonna kind of drag them around and try to get them as centered as we can. If it does start snapping, you can hold down the control key and it will let you freeform it without doing that snapping thing. And also be aware, if you're holding down control and you click something else, it will select it. A good way to know that you're kind of lining them up is look at your X and Y axis and just make sure that it's kind of lining up in the middle with the ghost names next to it and the ones above it. Now, there is not a good way to really get these centered, unfortunately. In some other programs, it will let you more or less distribute them properly, but OBS does not have that. And if it does, and you know about it, let me know in the comments. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. If we want to be able to move all of them together, you will need to group all of them, which you can control click every single source in here. Make sure you get all of them, and only do this after you're happy with where they are. So then we'll right click and we will group selected items, and we'll call this ghost names. And so now we can move this wherever we want to. But again, make sure you're happy with where they are. Now you can move them by themselves once they're outside of the group, but it could be pretty easy to select the entire thing and start moving things around where you don't want them. I'm happy with this, and that's the first part. If you want to create sort of like a background for your ghost names to be on, you can come down here and hit add. We're gonna add a color source. We'll just leave it named that for now. You can make it more of a grayish color. It doesn't really matter all that much. We'll drag it down a little bit, and we will drag that source below the ghost names so that it is behind there. So we'll kind of make it just a little bit smaller, and then from there you can hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and then you can just drag it in and crop it as you see fit. And then from there you can leave it like that, or you can add another color correction filter to add some opacity to that as well. You'll just hit filters, add color correction, and turn the opacity down so that you can now kind of see it behind the names, but it still kind of separates it from your gameplay. From there, now we are going to open up our Stream Deck. In our Stream Deck, we have 7 evidences. So we're going to create a multi-action for each one. For right now, we're just gonna name them what our evidences are. So we'll put EMF, go up, we'll add another multi-action. This one will be called Ultra, or we'll just call it UV just to make it smaller. We'll call this one writing, and so on and so forth. These are all of our evidences, and we created a multi-action because what we want to be able to do when we go in, we're going to go to OBS and we're going to set a filter visibility, but we want it to trigger for every ghost that coincides with a certain piece of evidence. On top of that, we're going to make a multi-action reset button, because that is how we are going to reset all of our filters. Once we're done, once we figured the ghost out and we're starting a new game, we need a reset button. As we go into our multi-actions, I forgot to mention you will want to connect your Stream Deck to your OBS if you haven't already. You'll do that by clicking on the cogwheel up here, going to plugins, hitting this plus sign, and it will take you to the website for Stream Deck, and you'll just click on OBS Studio here and it will add it. Now that you've added OBS Studio, you will have all these options for OBS. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into EMF, and we're going to drag in filter. Now what this is going to do is this is going to populate everything in OBS. So you will have to select your source, and that is where the T in the text will really come in handy. So if we get EMF evidence, we know it's not going to be a phantom, a poltergeist, a banshee, a mare, revenant, demon, yurei, yokai, hantu, onryo, mimic, moroid, diogen, or a thay. So like I said, this is a time-consuming widget, but you can do it. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna go in here, go to this filter, we're gonna look for our source, and we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna find our first ghost that we know it won't be, which is Phantom. And we're gonna use that color correction filter and we're gonna turn it to enable, because what enable is going to do is it's going to turn on that color correction filter, which makes it opaque. So that is our first one. And so now we can duplicate that, paste. And so then we already have everything in here. So then we can select our next ghost, which is a poltergeist, and set the filter. And then you will do this for all of those ghosts that it cannot be when you get EMF. And I also want to add something in. It's probably best to add a title so that you can see it on here. So we know this one is Phantom. We know this one is the poltergeist. I can spell polter. This one is the banshee, and so on and so forth. So something that I've noticed is when you paste something and you don't click off of it and come back to it, it will mess this up. So just make sure that you click on something else and then click on the one that you just pasted to make sure that you're not losing your progress or writing over ghosts, because there is a lot of them and it's easy to kind of lose what you're doing. So now that we have our EMF button completely done with all of our filter sets for all of our ghost name, and we can test it out. And so when we press that button, if we get EMF, it will eliminate all of those, and it will turn on that color correction filter and make them all go opaque. Now, the issue with that is it does not reset it. That is what the reset button is going to be for. And what you're going to do is, again, you're going to go back in here, do every single ghost, and we're going to disable the filter. So we'll just do just this one for a test. So when I press the button, Phantom comes back on. And so now you will just do that for every single ghost. When we press EMF, it will turn them all off one by one. I personally don't like that, so I've set the reset button to turn them all on pretty quickly. So the way that you do that, we'll do it with our UV button. When we get UV evidence, it's not going to be a spirit, wraith, mare, revenant, shade, yurei, oni, yokai, onryo, twins, raiju, moroi, dio, thay, etc., etc. So the way that we want to turn down kind of that one by one thing is you click on this little timer right here and turn these all the way down. So now when we copy this and paste it, it will have everything turned down. So that way when you activate, for example, this UV filter, it will turn them all off instantaneously versus slowly one by one. So let's go ahead and do Wraith here just to show the difference between the other two. EMF is one by one. We'll hit the reset button and it turns them all back on, and then now we'll hit UV and it will turn them off instantly. So that's really up to you if you want to do that. If you like the one by one, then you can keep the little timer as is turned all the way up. But if you want them to turn off instantly, you would turn these down. So now let's go back to OBS and we'll talk about why we wanted this to be in a nested scene. So again, a nested scene is a scene that has all of the sources that you need that can be referenced elsewhere. To put that into action, I'm going to turn off this footage because whenever you reference a scene, any of the sources that are in there will show up in the new scene. In this scene, I just have some more dummy footage of me playing Phasmophobia, and we're going to hit add source, scene, and we're going to scroll down and find our ghost widget. So now we have our ghost widget on this scene. You can crop it down if it's too big. Again, using the same method that we use for the color correction or for the background box, just hit Alt and you can shrink it. And you can also make this bigger or smaller depending on however you want it to look in your new scene. And so any edits that you make to the scene will come back to this one. So let's say we hide Thay, it will hide Thay here as well. So it's very important to use nested scenes, especially for things like that. In the event they add more ghosts or add more evidence, you can edit straight in this widget, and you don't have to go back into this scene or back into this scene or back into all your other scenes that may have this widget. You can do it straight from here and it will translate everywhere else. Seasons from the future here. After using the widget in my streams, I realized that nobody could tell what kind of evidence I was actually getting. So I decided to add some images to show what we were getting. So the first thing that we're going to do is come down here and hit the plus sign, and we're going to add an image source. And we're going to keep up with our organizational thing of putting I for image. For this first one, we're going to do EMF. Just type that in. It's going to open up this screen. To get these images, you could just Google EMF or Spirit Box PNG so that it's a transfer image. I actually just went ahead and drew some in Procreate. If you guys would like these files, let me know in the comments down below and I can get those out for you. So as soon as you select your file, it's going to pull your image up. We're going to make that much smaller and put it up here. We're going to grab this box and bring it down a little bit so that our images fit on there nice and snug, and it will probably do some snapping, and I'm okay with that. And we're going to right click on that, and we're going to copy that transform so that all of our other images are essentially the same size. And so we'll do that for all of them. Hit the plus sign again, go to image. This one will be writing. After you hit OK, hit browse, select your writing image, and just keep doing that for the rest of the evidences. And after we have this open, we are going to right click on it. Since we copied that transform, we're going to go to transform, paste transform, and just drag it over, and do that for the rest of them. We have all of our evidences down here. That looks pretty good to me. From there, we're going to go back into our stream deck. In all of our evidences, we're going to double click. We're going to go to our OBS tab and select source visibility. Put that in there. We're going to name this one EMF because we're in the EMF tab. And we're going to go to our ghost widget scene, and we're going to select the EMF source, and we're going to do show. You're going to do that for every single one. So you'll click in, drag in source visibility. This one's for UV. Don't forget to name everything in the title so that it shows up here. You know exactly what you're clicking on. This one will be UV. Show. Also, if depending on which way you wanted it to show, whether you wanted it to be instant or not, I like it to be instant. So I'm going to drag these all the way down, and we'll do that for every single evidence. Now that you have all of your images in there, don't forget we need to go into reset, and we need to make all of those sources hide on our reset. So for every single source, we'll do that for every single evidence that we get, and we'll set it to hide. So for EMF, we'll type in EMF, make sure it's hide. Same thing with the source visibility. Go down to your ghost widget scene and select EMF. And the action delay, again, I like mine to do it instantly, so I'm going to turn those down. And you can just copy and paste this for every single evidence. Now that that's done, everything should work. If I hit the reset button, all of these should go away. So now if we hit EMF, we'll have a little EMF detector turn on, and it'll turn off all the other ghosts. If we get orbs, orbs will show up and it will show us what's left. And if we hit UV, UV will show up. So now we know what 3 evidence we have, and we know that it's an obake. Let's make a last one for if we get the bone, and we'll do it the exact same way as we've been doing the evidence. We'll do we'll type in bone, hit OK, look for our bone image, add that in, make it small, put it wherever you want to. I'll probably put mine down here on the bottom, kind of on the corner of the box. I like that. That looks fine. And then we'll go back into Stream Deck. The bone button's a little bit easier because we're not doing a bunch of different actions like we are with the multi-action. This one is just going to be a source visibility button, and this one is actually a toggle. So we'll just name it bone. We'll go down to our scene. We'll select our bone image. And so that way, whenever we press it on our Stream Deck, it will toggle it, and we can press it whenever. We can still go into the reset button and do source visibility and do bone, hit hide for when we reset it. We don't want it to show. Ghost widget, bone. And so that way, even when we hit the reset button, it will turn everything off, but we can still hit the bone and turn the bone on and off. To add that image, like I have for all these other ones, you'll just click on this little arrow right here, set from file, and then you can use that bone image. And so it will show up, and you can do that with all of these as well. If you wanted to make a bunch of buttons that will select the ghost specifically, so if you want to specifically turn off the Hantu button or you want to specifically turn off the Revenant button, what you're gonna do for that is you'll right click on this corner and do create folder, and we'll name this all ghosts, and then click in there. The button you'll add for the ghost name will be filter, because we want to turn on that color correction filter. So this one will be Hantu. We'll select the source, Hantu, and we'll make that filter color correction. And this one is a toggle, so when you press it, it will turn on and off. And you could do that for every single ghost, all 24. There isn't enough on my Stream Deck, so what I will do is I will create another folder and name it More Ghosts. And that way you can go in here and add the rest of them, and this back arrow will take you back into your ghost widget. And if you hit reset, you turn the Hantu off and go back, and you can hit reset, it'll still reset it. And that's it. Now you have a really cool overlay for your streams. Keep your viewers engaged, let them know what you're hunting, let them know what you're not hunting. This video took me quite a while to make, so I really hope you consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. I, again, really loved making it, so please keep an eye out for future tutorials in the future. If you have any ideas, please put them in the comments below. Follow me on Twitch where I stream, and also consider sharing this with some of your other Phasmo friends, because maybe they would want one too. So yeah, thank you. Bye.